Wild Bruce looks confused.
I was just forgetting that I had to do it.
This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLE to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. Big shout out and thanks to our Patreon. Please consider becoming a Patreon, $2 a month, early access and live access as we record the show.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You okay?
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people. This is episode 159 of Getting Tabled with your host, Bruce.
Yes, I'm here. And apparently our intro is a lie because Socks is not here. It's very rude. He's decided that he wants to go gallivanting around the world on a cruise ship. These Air Force generals and their 7-star hotels and stuff, it's just ridiculous. He tries to pretend like he has this quiet little life. He's clearly making billions of dollars every day. It's just ridiculous.
Yes, it's a shame that such resources are wasted on the Air Force when other things could be accomplished, like, I don't know, anything. I don't know if Bruce introduced me, my headphones weren't working, or his mic wasn't working, I don't know, but hey, I'm here too.
Oh, are you here? Oh, I forgot about you.
Thanks. How is a Bruce doing?
I'm okay. Well, I'm okay. It's been a week, but I'm good. Like most
He doesn't
weeks.
know how to start his bike.
That is not what happened. But yeah, I had issues with the bike this week, which was very frustrating. And then annoying.
I forgot how to start it.
Because after trying to start it and failing, which was not my issue, after the 7th or 8th time, I got them to come out because I thought there might have been something that I missed. And then it started first go. I'm like, well, great. Now I don't know what the problem was. I mean, it's great that it's going, and I've had no issue again since. But I'd love to know what the problem was. Stupid modern technology. Back in my day, if there was a problem, there was a problem. None of this half measures stuff.
Back in my day, if there's a problem, yo, I'll save it. Check out the hook while the DJ revolves it.
That's terrible.
Thank you.
Dear. I guess we should probably do some of this stuff.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
All right. And we are starting off with TT Combat. There's no particular reason why I started with TT Combat. I just decided that that's what we're going to start with. And I want to say it was around 6 months ago. Like, there's some comments that suggested it was longer than that, but I don't think it was. I believe
It definitely was. Yeah, look at this. I've seen this before. And it was last year sometime when I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I do
have
remember
a feeling
seeing
that
this.
it was the end of that it was the Christmas, like the 13 days of reveals that they did.
Yeah. Their little advent calendar they do. Yeah.
So Operation Artemis. This is just a teaser trailer. It's going to be up for pre-order next week. This is a standalone offshoot from Drop Zone. It's kind of the first that they've done for it, and essentially you are playing as PHR, trying to take down giant monsters. I'm definitely oversimplifying it, but that is essentially the idea here.
I found a simpler explanation in the comments. PHR mechs with different loadouts to kill big kaiju horrors.
That too.
Or
Yep.
in other words, it's Pacific Rim on the board game, but TT Combat intellectual property.
Yep. So look, this should be interesting. I'm definitely interested to see how this goes. I mean, we don't know a lot yet. To the point, like, I mentioned that it had been a while since they first revealed this. Like, I sat here for probably 20 minutes this morning trying to figure out where it was that this was first announced. Because I know that there'd been comments about, that they'd released comments about what was coming, but I'm like, I can't find it. I can't just talk about this coming and not be able to tell anybody anything. But I managed to find it, thankfully. Like, this should be very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to, if they do it in a board game, I'd like to see them use resources they have at hand.
Yep.
So with the new Drop Squad Commander game, I think they should do minis in that size, and then that leads for the possibilities of expansions where you could do the Scourge or Shaltari or and expand on the game instead of just having it be the PHR versus monsters.
Yeah. Certainly will be interesting. So yeah, that is coming. It'll be up for pre-order next week. Let me double check the wording on this. Available to pre-order. Okay, so you can pre-order it at the UK Games Expo or on the website. I was just double checking that it wasn't available in person, which it's not. I'd be very surprised if they don't have a demo table though, given that that's the whole point of UK Games Expo. Louis, if I'm wrong on that, I apologise. Well, it's a gaming show. If you're going to have something for pre-order, generally you have a demo just so people know what they're playing. People don't tend to like pre-ordering things if they don't know what they are.
Oh, you mean not all people are just hand their wallets over to Games Workshop and let it get abused?
No comment. Staying on the TT Combat front, we've got a couple of tables of terrain that they're making available at the UK Games Expo, while George pants into his microphone. We start off with what... I wish they had better names, but this is UKTC SWL Map 1. Which is...
I bet it's some code to be used with Drop Squad Commander.
I have a feeling that SW is Star Wars. I don't know what the... Star Wars Legion, I think, is what this is for.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
Because it's a sandstorm. This is Tatooine, right?
UK Tatooine colony? I don't know.
Yeah.
Would it surprise me if the UK had a colony on Tatooine? I mean, they had one everywhere else.
I was when I added these to the things, I was like, why is it not UK Games Expo? But I mean, obviously it means that it's not just for UK Games Expo. It's a nice bundle deal, right? You're getting essentially a table's worth of terrain, and honestly, decent looking terrain.
Oh, you know what? The one building with the kind of the double roof that really does give a resemblance to Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Now that I look at it,
I think this stuff looks absolutely magnificent. The mixture of MDF and card, so the lighter grey is a thin card material. That's how they're getting the rounded contours and so forth. It just looks really nice.
TT Combat just does a really good of working with a 2D material, and that's flat and corners, and does a really good job of making rounded structures.
Once you get some paint on this, and then you can't exactly because one of the issues with MDF is that, I mean, you can see where the edge of the MDF was cut and stuff. Once you get some spray paint on this, it'll be fine. I'd even go as far as to say if you put some textured spray paint on this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially given that it's meant to be set. Like if you use one of the granite textures or something like what you can use on walls and stuff, this would be brilliant. So long as you don't go overboard with it. Thin coats, people. Thin coats, especially with the textured stuff.
Or you may give it some detail, like have to actually put together spray, finish putting together prime.
Yeah. Thin down PVA
next
and
on
a bit of sand. Do it the hard way.
Next on the list is probably the preferred terrain package, in my opinion. It is a mere 50 pounds more.
Yep.
And it feels like you just get so much more.
It's a giant table. This is clearly it's some Imperial ground base type thing. I don't know what this is based on. I'm sure that there's people in the comments that'll be going, "How could you not recognize that this is from the Battle of XYZ?"
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna. No, it's XYZ. The top left, Bruce. That strikes me as like two of the entryways onto the hangar deck on the Death Star and in New Hope.
Yeah.
The way that, like, you know, they just don't have the walls. It's just that one little part of the Death Star.
Yeah.
The thing I like the most about this one is the little capsule and all the little objective markers.
The little gribblies.
That's what those are. Those are just straight up objective markers. I mean,
I love scatter terrain is the best. There is no question. There is no debate. Scatter terrain is the best terrain. Everything else is just a building. It's just a tree. Scatter terrain is whatever you want it to be.
oh, and hey, the gun towers. Those are totally not the gun towers from the trench run in New Hope.
Oh, definitely not. I'm surprised that you would even suggest such a thing, George. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, there's some things I am ashamed of myself for, but
that's not one of them.
No.
Ah, dear. No, I like these two tables. I think they're quite nice looking. I think they're decent value too.
The thing too that's so easy as soon as you get past a certain timeline in the gaming, like this is universal terrain. Like this will work for Infinity, this will work for 40K, this will work for something else that I can't think of off the top of my head. You know, yeah, it's good. Like for all their games, like it's TT Combat still needs more credit for their terrain than they get, I think.
I agree. Especially, it's where the business. Well, it's not where it started from. We know that because it started as like a second-hand trading type business.
Yeah.
But as far as when the company started to get steam, it's from their terrain sales going on eBay is where it really took off. Like that's my earliest memories of the company is them selling this MDF stuff on eBay and starting to take off that way. Coming up next, we have something from Blacksite Studios, a company that I've been a fan of for quite some time. They are going to be releasing another game through crowdfunding. So recently they did like a newer, easier access version of Don't Look Back. They were using PVC for the minis and so on and so forth. Or basically trying to create a starter set that's just really easy to pick up so there's less hobby and so forth involved. This is a new game that's called We Played God, which doesn't really make a lot of sense when you first hear the name, until I tell you that this is definitely not a Jurrasic Park game. It's definitely not a Jurrasic Park game. You just happen to be playing survivors trying to survive against dinosaurs on the tabletop, but it's definitely not Jurassic Park.
It's at least Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, that's fair. Which, of course, instantly makes the name mean something. So how can you be a god on the tabletop? Like, that doesn't really make... Oh. So, yeah.
Actually,
when they described the game, there was just that moment of, oh, I feel really dumb now. How did I not see that?
Yeah, I was going to say, when I D&D'd a lot, we didn't have a DM, we had God, Game Operations Director.
Yeah. So there's going to be a full range of miniatures. It's uncertain at this stage. Like, most likely, the dinosaurs are going to be released as STLs because they're getting them produced physically.
Yeah.
Is probably unrealistic just because of the size of them. It makes more sense to do them as STLs. I think I need to buy into this. It's not live yet, obviously, but I think I need to buy into this. This is a very easy decision on my part.
I was going to say, I love the artwork on the rule book. It's very...
Yeah.
I would say it goes more horror than Jurassic Park ever could. Even that night scene. Like
Yep.
this seems to have more horror to it for sure.
And I'm not saying that there hasn't been Jurassic Park games. I would say that there hasn't really been a survival horror Jurassic Park game, which is what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, it's Don't Look Back, but it's Jurassic Park, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
deliberately oversimplifying it here, but
No.
in my head, that's like, I mean, it's a survival horror game against the dinosaurs. As far as Jurassic Park is concerned, it's the most obvious type of board game you could make. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It uses general role-playing dice. It's going to be interesting to see how the mechanics of this all work out. We don't know a lot of that at this stage. In the description, it says that it's going to be populated by 15 different dinosaur breeds. I believe the description of the dinosaurs are going to be somewhat deliberately vague. Well, not vague. It's going to be deliberately generic, so it doesn't have to be a very specific sort of T-Rex. And so it's just like, this is a T-Rex.
Sure, yeah.
This is something that maybe doesn't say it's the Spinosaurus, but it's definitely the Spinosaurus. And they're trying to
for
allow
sure.
so that people can kind of use whatever they want, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
I think. Really interesting. I mean,
It is only a
to say
teaser,
that we,
so like,
yeah.
it doesn't show a lot at this point.
I mean, I feel like this is like an underrepresented like idea. Like Jurassic Park, even still to this day, I think is one of the greatest like intellectual ideas of we've gotten way too smart for our own good and start doing lots of stupid crap. Like I think that's such a like we could do so much more of making ourselves look like really smart idiots.
Yeah.
As a species, and turn that into books, movies, and of course board games. This definitely looks really cool. I would love to see this how it's played out for sure.
Definitely going to be following it to see more as we see more. That's for sure. Coming up next, we have some new stuff coming out from Brigade Models, who I don't think we've looked at before, but I saw this and I'm like, ooh, these are interesting. So first up, we have a 4x4 dune buggy, like a sci-fi dune buggy, which is really cute. I mean, it's definitely sci-fi. This is not modern day. I mean, well,
The roll cage looks like it's made from PVC pipes painted brown.
the front looks like it's pulled out of a construction building.
Right?
I'm not saying this in a negative sense. Like, I really like what it is.
It's
kind of feels like it's been thrown together.
You know how I use the word whimsical to describe burrows and badgers?
Yep.
This is whimsical sci-fi.
Yeah. So I guess that would be soft sci-fi? No, because that's different. That's about the sort of civilizations and stuff. I don't know. It kind of feels retro sci-fi to me. I love the fact that there's only... If you actually look, there's only one seat as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it does say ATV, so those typically a single seater. I could almost maybe call this Red Dwarf-esque.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout.
So, like, it's something like that where it's like, it's sci-fi not meant to be taken seriously. Like, we're going to be dumb, stupid idiots. We just chosen sci-fi instead of any of the other genres.
And that being the case, like, Red Dwarf is a good shout because they were the first to do that with sci-fi.
Yeah. It also very much feels like something like, you build with, all of your Lego parts from all your Lego kits that are no longer put together.
Yeah. We all did that as kids. We also have a grav sled, which definitely doesn't look like it's from Star Wars. I don't know why you would even suggest that, George. No, I'm sorry. It's the speeder from Star Wars, right? I mean, it's a generic version of it, but that's totally what this is. It's Luke's speeder from Tatooine.
Well, so given my previous argument on that ATV, this fits the sci-fi world more of that one than it does, the idea of Star Wars. The only thing that really does say like, oh, this is not Star Wars is the Imperial officer with all the rank structure that you have no idea what it means because it's just buttons.
I'm pretty sure he's there for scale because you'll notice it's exactly the same one as the previous picture.
Oh, is it?
Yep. If you go back,
Oh,
see
jeez.
it's exactly the same mini. Here's one thing I
It is-
will say though. This looks like somebody has cut the wheels off a motorbike and bolted it to a grav sled.
Oh,
It
it
feels
also
thrown
looks
together.
it feels Russian too.
Yeah, I could see that. Again,
Like
it's
we don't
single-seater.
need no curved corners. We'll just cut it off at a 45. That's good enough.
And like it feels thrown together. I'm not. This isn't criticism. Like
Yeah.
depending on the
which-
sci-fi world, that's how things should feel.
Which
Maybe not Star
that
Trek,
also validates the concept of this is Russian anti-grav sled. See it? It's not circular.
Yep. We also have the World Ranger, which is
This
very
looks
different.
dope. This also looks very oh god, they're the
I want to say it's very insect.
squats. The squats vehicle.
Yes, actually, very much.
The Voton.
Yep.
This looks really resemblance of their one of their bigger buggies.
The bus thingy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how they've used exactly the same miniature, but they've just painted him differently. They've just painted him in red instead of grey.
Well, you'll be disappointed with the fourth one we're going to talk about, Bruce. No, this looks good. I like the way they've painted windows. Obviously,
Yes.
because it's going to be a resin kit.
Yeah.
So they've just painted the windows, and painting windows is a neat trick. I think. Like
There's a couple
you
of
could
different
do
schools
it-
of thought. Like the corners one works. I don't mind like just the streak through the middle of it as well. Except these are too small to get away with that, so that's why you're doing the
Yeah.
corners version. It's a really nice trick. Speaking of the
Yeah,
fourth
like-
one, get away from her, you big bad person.
It's the same guy. It's not a different guy, but it's not the same guy with a different paint job.
Yeah, they
You
should
got
have had a
reused on
female
this one.
opposite. I'm disappointed that it's not a female version of the same miniature. Or at least this miniature
So-
wearing a wig.
So these mech walkers, not just because it's Alien and Aliens, but I can get behind because they're not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like this seems much more feasible, than some of the other stuff. Battletech mech.
I like the
warrior,
fact that
you know
this
who you
actually
are.
still has the power connector connected to it. That is actually a really nice touch. Because most people don't bother with that. It's just a really nice touch, right? That
Oh,
like, it's
interesting.
actually still you can make it into a piece of scatter terrain but basically still having it connected to its power source. Because if you look, there's two different ways of building it.
Yeah, or use a magnet and just like part of the objective is you've captured it, now you can go fight with it. Yeah.
I really like what they're doing with these. I think like it's very clear what this is inspired by, but they have made it their own. Like it's more square
Yeah, for sure.
and like. Ironically, because the power loader in Aliens feels like it's something that's feasible that you could build in the real world. This
Like I'm surprised
probably
like
takes
they
that
don't
further.
exist already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is, like, it's even more industrial. It's even less curved because the shoulders are very square and angular, and it kind of feels even closer to what we could do today.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, Brigade models are doing some really nice-looking stuff. It's really nice. Up next, we have some weird things. Malifaux 4th edition is in the middle of its public playtesting at the moment. For the record, I am not taking part in the public playtesting. I have made the decision that I am not going to do anything until the actual 4th edition has released, for a couple of reasons. My main crew, or at least how I like to play them, has essentially been killed off. Which I'm not complaining about. It's fine, because I've been meaning to move on from them anyway. I'm officially retiring them. And given that there's also been a couple of things that I've bought very recently that are not usable anymore for what I bought them for, like some of them haven't even seen the table. It's my fault. I shouldn't have bought new stuff just before a new edition is most likely going to happen. I've decided that I'm not doing anything until the game is out. Then I will decide what I'm doing, so I don't have to be disappointed. There's been a few. There's a box out there that I need to pick up from somebody that I have a very strong feeling I'm never going to see the table with, because I have a feeling they're going to take it away. I don't know yet, because it's one of the ones they haven't announced, but I have the sinking feeling, because it's happened with everything else that I bought recently. Everything can be used as alternate things, but all of them are also things that I already own, so I'm like, this is all useless to me. So, a little bit of frustration. Anyway, they are starting to show off how they're going to be doing their starter sets. So, the last time we talked about it, we kind of talked about how they're essentially going to do like 2 levels of the starter set. You'll have these core sets, and then there'll be like a bigger, fully fleshed out crew that you can buy as well. I kind of suspect that the second one would be something you buy from them directly, but I don't know that for a fact. So this first one, which is the Woe box set. So Pandora, which is the main person, this is the lady here in the middle that's blowing the mist into somebody, is one of the OG crews, and this has been completely resculpted. Baby Cade, which is the evil murderous baby, which is secretly a demon disguised as a baby. I'm sure that surprises everybody. Is somehow even creepier in this than he is in the previous one. The previous edition, basically he was sacrificing his teddy bear. It was glorious. To the point where, like, the teddy bear's pinned down to the ground and stuff, too. I can't think what is it Candy? I can't remember what the girl's name is. It is Candy. I think I prefer the previous version of Candy personally. This one kind of feels like the previous one was very Wednesday. Where this kind of feels it's more creepy doll to me. Which is not a bad thing.
Like Bride of Chucky almost, kind of.
Yeah. I love the giant poltergeist is terrifying. The sorrows are quite cool as well. But I think the highlight for me is the poltergeist. Really nice looking box set, honestly. I really like what they're doing with this.
I like the little skull detail they're doing in the robes.
Yeah. Yep. Where you can kind of like see, because obviously it's a ghost, it's a poltergeist, you can kind of see, like, it's almost like the victims that have fallen for this last time still being kind of screaming in pain from what they had to go through. Like I said, I really like what they're doing with this. There's another one that they've shown off as well. This is the most recent one they've shown off, which is the Red Chapel box. This is Seamus. And Seamus is definitely not the killer from the 1900s England or 1800s England. Jack the Ripper, it's definitely not him. The story is that Jack the Ripper, the reason he disappeared is that he slipped through the portal into Malifaux. And then basically, rather than just killing the ladies of the streets, he then turns them into zombies as well. So, Malifaux continuing their history of making a creepy story even worse.
I mean, I feel like the first box had way more, like, it was more, there's more action to it. It's less static. Like, this is a very...
That is always going to be a
it feels
problem when you're
boring.
dealing with zombies, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot you can do with zombies before they don't look like zombies anymore. Like, the
But they're supposed to be
zombies kind of
zombies,
all
so-
have this... They're all kind of puppet... Like, they all kind of feel puppetry because that's like a zombie is essentially.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on which version of zombies you have. This is very much
Yeah, which
I am in control
which
of
were-
this.
which war game you're in, yeah, or not war game, world you're in.
Seamus was a box set that needed to be redone. Like, the old one was fine, but it was just kind of there. I think the Pandora box is a nicer looking box, personally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Neither of them are bad, but I just feel that the Seamus box, like the sculpts are all nicer, but I feel like it's not doing anything else with it. You're also getting more in the other box, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see the Dreamer box in full. Well, we've had a tease of the Dreamer box, but I want to see it in full, so because that's most likely the direction I'm going. Moving on. War Games Atlantic are continuing to release some 10 mil stuff, and this is going to be another one of those. How is this only 10 mil? Because we have some undead skellies that these are 10 mil undead skellies. We don't get really close looks at them.
Do you know what we need to do, Bruce?
What?
We need to get some of these to the Sox children and have them put together to use with his Hail Caesar game, which is 10 mil.
That would
just
be
have
hilarious.
a skeleton unit. Just see how long it takes him to catch it.
That would be a lot of undead skellies, though.
No, just one unit in the army.
Oh, yes. No, that makes it even better. Yes, I agree. The problem is that they wouldn't be able to paint them up without him seeing that they're painting them up, I don't think.
Right, yeah, that's the too. It's just like, like, how would we do that? Like,
I mean, to be fair, he won't listen to this spec, so we could totally do this behind the scenes and he will never know. There is also some mounted cavalry as well, or some horse lords. That's quite nice. It's going to be interesting to these are just renders, right? So obviously we don't see all of the detail, but I mean, they look quite good. Like, the mounted riders especially are magnificent. And if I zoom in, like, the undead skellies are really nice. I mean, they're 10 mil, so obviously, like, the poses are all kind of very simple because they have to be at that scale.
Yeah, and the detail is very restricted because it's at that scale.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. War Games Atlantic are doing so much at the moment. They're also the ones that's doing the plastic for TT Combat as well.
Right, yeah. I remember you mentioned that, yeah.
And we're finally moving into some Games Workshop news, because it's not a week without some Games Workshop news. Of the 3 stories that I decided to cover, the model that we're going to look at is really nice, but it's probably the least interesting story of the weekend. Personally, I think. Like, we have Chaos Knight. It's an Imperial Knight that's Chaos. Like, we've had a few of these now. I think this is probably the nicest of the ones they've done. I love this grinder weapon that it has on its left hand. Or its left
Looks like a
gun.
A drilling tool.
Yeah. It's just, like, it just looks really nasty. It almost looks half looted.
The only thing that really catches my attention about it is the face.
Yeah.
That looks really properly, and that doesn't even, I wouldn't even say that's chaos. That just looks like
it looks
straight
like
up
it's been
haunted.
looted. Well, haunted
Yeah.
is a good shout, yeah. It's gonna be like, but there will be people that's excited. Like, there's a full-on Knights Codex coming. I don't believe there's. Maybe there was one before. I don't know.
I think there was.
So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there excited. I have a feeling that this next one is going to be the one that you like the sound of, though. So it's that time of year again where we get all of this discussion about their video games. They did a full-on Skulls showcase revealing a number of things. One of which we knew already. Space Marine is being prettified. They're calling it Mastercrafted Edition, but essentially it's being redone to look nicer. I think everybody saw that coming. In fact, we'd seen leaks about this already. It's what all of them are. Like, it's the same game, but they're trying to make it pretty. Hopefully it's being done by a development team that will actually give it the time that it deserves. We also have an announcement for Dark Heresy, which is interesting. We have what looks like a corrupted Kroot working with them. Which is
this looks like the characters from the Space Station board game a few years ago. The Black something or other.
Black Library.
No. Come on, Games Workshop. Black.
They did actually have a Kroot in that game that I'm thinking of.
Blackstone Fortress.
Ah, yes. Yep.
It looks like the characters in that and for this Dark Heresy look like the characters from the Black Fortress, or some of them do, anyways.
Yeah. I might have to buy this because there's Kroot in it. Maybe. I'm going to wait to see what the game actually looks like. But, again, I don't think this is the one that's going to excite you the most. Because Dawn of War is getting a definitive edition. This is the one that I think will grab your attention. Because, I'm sorry, but it's Dawn of War. This trailer shows off like the original cinematic, and then it kind of goes through and kind of shows you what it originally looked like and what it's going to look like now. And like it's just been prettified. Like, it's not redone entirely. It is just a new coat of paint to make it look less old, I guess. It still has the same cartoony vibe. Ignore the cinematic trailer, obviously. But if you look at the actual game itself, like, it has that old Hammer feel, because that's kind of what games were at that point. For me, and the definitive edition comes with all of the expansions, all 9 armies. This is the original, so that means Tyranids are missing. But it's a release that's being done the way that I feel it should be, really. For me, I think it's going to come down to what they expect to be paid for it. Because if they price this as a brand new game, I think they're going to be very disappointed with the sales. Especially given that RTS games aren't as popular today as they used to be. But if this releases at I'm not saying it should be cheap, but if this is like less than a AAA game, I think they should do okay. But if they try to sell this for $60, they're going to be very disappointed, I think. In saying that, I have a feeling that's what they're going to try and do.
The fact that it looks like a very clean Wolfenstein now.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, of all of the stories here, this is the one. Like, Dawn of War, I don't really think most people today realize how big Dawn of War was in its day. Like, Dawn of War kicked Age of Empires off the pedestal for a significant amount of time.
Sorry, I was looking at Bolt Gun, not Dawn of War. I had gone too far.
I hadn't gotten there yet. I haven't played the original Bolt Gun. I have heard nothing but good things about it. And to be fair, I kind of want to play it. The fact that it's getting
good news. If you scroll down, there is a download link through Steam for Bolt Gun. Yeah.
Bolt Gun? Or... Ooh, for free. For free? Okay.
Please enjoy the next 20 seconds of Bruce grunting and joy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't take advantage of that download link.
Why not?
It's not made for Mac OS.
Oh,
Only
right.
Windows.
Yeah, that's right. You're not allowed to have games.
That's okay. I don't want to sit in front of my computer and play games. That's why I'm into board games and
That's
tabletop.
Space Marine 2 is getting a siege mode. I don't know if this is a full-on expansion or if this is just a freebie thing. Nope, this is part of DLC. Okay, yep. So if you didn't buy the premium edition, then you're gonna have to pay for this. I think every game like this should have siege mode type stuff these days. I think this is probably a self-explanatory thing. Dark Arbites is another one that's coming. This is another FPS. Doesn't say when it's coming. And Rogue Trader Lex Imperialis has a robot dog. Wait, do they both have robot dogs?
They do.
They do both have robot dogs.
I think they're the same guy.
One of them needs to try harder. Rogue Trader doesn't really show off what... Hang on, I'm going to open up the actual video. New companion. Oh, this is a turn-based shooter. Okay. Where the other
so
FPS.
like an FF7.
Which is why when you look at the screenshots, it doesn't really show you what type of game it is because, well, they're just kind of standing there because that's what they do in turn-based games. Mechanicus. This goes on and on and on and on and on. So there's a whole heap of stuff that's been announced, much like they did last year. Total Warhammer 3 Tides of Torment will be getting a lot of people excited.
I need to play that still. I bought it and I downloaded it and I still haven't played it.
I have heard nothing but extremely good things. It's not a game type that I enjoy, so I'm not the person to speak with. Oh, we're getting a Speed Freaks game. I think we already knew that.
We're getting a Custodes game.
There's new Vermintide stuff. Ooh. This is an expansion for a mobile game, I think.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Tacticus, I'm pretty sure, already exists. Could be misremembered. Oh, that doesn't look mobile, though. Maybe this isn't what I think it is. I could have sworn Warhammer Tacticus was something that already existed.
I think you're right, and I can't place it.
Also, this is it's not actually a gameplay trailer. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a mobile game. The cinematic trailer is unhelpful.
Not gonna lie, if Speed Freaks came to a console, I would want to throw down on a game of that.
Yep. So yeah, there we go. Lots and lots of stuff, more than we've spoken about out loud. But yeah, there's some really exciting stuff that's happening. Like I said, personally, Definitive Edition of Dawn of War is where it's at for me. Whether you prefer Dawn of War 1 or 2 is generally toss-up. I think the first game is the better one for me, but I know that there are other people that prefer number 2. Number 3 is not even in that discussion. Number 3 did not go very well. George, do you remember about a year and a half ago when somebody received this brand new Dante model that was not supposed to be sent to them, and it was definitely sent to them accidentally, and definitely wasn't a plant by Games Workshop?
Did they get sent something else again?
Oh, yeah. No, not the same person. This turned up on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, really?
This box set turned up on Facebook Marketplace because it had been sent to them and they didn't want it. To me, I have exactly the same thought again, which is that definitely didn't happen. This is definitely Games Workshop trying to be clever with their marketing again. And don't get me wrong, it's really great marketing. Because everybody believes that this is what's actually happened. I don't believe this is what's actually happened for a second.
No.
I believe that it's someone that is just on the inside and is doing what they're told.
For sure.
So apparently this is not just a new box set. This is a new edition for the game as well. The new edition, there are other links that talks about this. They're kind of cleaning up the rules and rebalancing things just a little bit. It's not like they're changing the game entirely, but
Well, I'd be curious to see what they're doing, because last I remember, Heresy was still running on the core of 7th edition.
I was
Which-
a friend of mine is really into this, and he's like, "Oh, finally, there's a new edition that they can fix all of the problems." I was like, "Well, I'm confused. You loved this game. What's wrong with the game?" And he's like, "Well, I can play this game. I can essentially play this game with my eyes without having to think about it. Like there's no real tactic in the game for him." I'm oversimplifying what he said, but yeah. So there was a few balancing issues, and basically there was only really one thing that you needed to take, and it was the sort of game where there is one list, and that list ruins everybody else. I'm sure there are people out there that can describe it better than me because they've played it, and I am never going to play Horus Heresy.
Well, I mean, those are all valid reasons. Of there's only one list. This is the only thing that works.
Yeah.
I mean, the rule set for this game has been around for forever.
Yeah.
In the world, like the only reason why I still have a set of books from that edition is they are the base rule set for Horus Heresy still.
Yep. And even like because when the most recent stuff came out, it was a new edition, but the new edition didn't really change anything. It was really just a re-release of it. Whereas they are actually making some effort to change some things now. As far as the models is concerned, I think they all look quite nice.
What I love actually here is they've taken like that old school like gigantic shoulder pad Rogue Trader model that looked absolutely like cheese-tastic for the day.
Yep.
And have made it look hella good here.
Yep. This Terminator armor shouldn't work. It should
Absolutely
look
not.
ridiculous. Somehow it does work.
And it looks brilliant.
Yeah. The Dreadnought even more so, actually. The Dreadnought's, I think, the highlight of the box for me.
Oh yeah, especially with the salamander shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
that
just
is
look really nice.
That's freaking amazing.
It's really, really well done. Actually, I will say this. I'm not a huge person for Space Wolves, but the Space Wolf one's not bad either, with the runes up the top and the Space Wolf symbol down the bottom.
Yeah. I would say of all, I mean, yes, that is what a Space Wolf Dreadnought would look like. It's very underwhelming when you compare it to like the salamander.
Yeah.
God, that's What I really liked, what they're doing too is, with the exception of the two guys, where's it at? The Praetor. Oh no, that's just a Praetor, so you can do whatever. What about this guy?
I can see the Centurion. Is that what you're talking about?
The Centurion and the Mark II power armor. Like they've got these obviously done as Salamanders and Iron Warriors, right?
Yeah.
But with as generic as what's in this box, you could easily do Space Wolves and Luna Wolves or whatever. Yeah, so
I mean, at that point in time, everybody had the same stuff anyway, so it does kind of make sense that that's how it should go.
yeah,
And that way, in theory, more people buy it, right?
in theory. Not gonna lie, this is a great looking box. Like,
Yeah. I really like the Praetor as well. Like, you did make a point of, like, you could kind of do anything you want with this. I really like that.
so, like, it's Heresy. There's a lot of different specifications, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything stopping you from buying this box and painting everything as one army.
No, I don't see any reason why you would need to either.
The only thing that'd be questionable is like the two hero characters. Like, are they universal across factions? You know,
Possible. You at worst case scenario, you're doing a little bit of counts as though.
right? Like, ooh, like it seriously looks like you could buy this box and just do a faction and go.
Possibly, yeah. So the Saturnine War is the basis for this. Like all of the previous Horus Heresy box sets, it's based around a certain conflict, mainly just so that they can have an excuse for who they're putting in the box. I think I think they've hit this out of the park, personally.
This is probably one of like I've not like I want to work on my Fire Slayers for sure, but I've not seen a 40K box that's really grabbed my attention. This is heresy, but the fact of based off what I know, you can just buy this and like you got an actual army, not two armies that are kind of crap.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they've hit this out of the park. It's going to be interesting to see what the price is. It's probably not going to be great, but
it's going to be a couple hundred easy.
Yeah, easily. I don't imagine this will be a reasonable price.
I'm gonna guess over 600 for you.
Probably, which is fine because I wasn't buying it anyway. And I mean that, like, it's just not. I have nothing against. It's just not a game that I'm interested in. Finally in the news, we're looking at Die Hard Miniatures, who is a company I don't think we've looked at very much. But I kind of stumbled across this and I was like, ooh, I really like these. I want to look at them. I might do a deep dive at some point and look at them as a full-on indie. But these are the Krups Warriors, which are very, very sci-fi. I get Cobra vibes. I get anything sci-fi, essentially.
Yeah, I was definitely getting like a Cobra Hellbat vibe with that the mask like that.
Yeah. It's almost insectoid in the way that it's been designed. Like, it clearly comes off that way, would be my theory, or it opens. But, I mean, these are definitely the bad guys, right?
Sure, yeah, no question about it.
I mean, they have a giant skull on the top of they're very clearly the bad guys. I mean, in saying that, I mean, skulls aren't always a sign of evil, I suppose. I mean, they have been kind of painted to look very neutral. But if I was to buy these, I think I would have to have them as just bad guy henchmen.
If
I really
anything,
like the look of this. I like the bases too, as much as they're really simple. But I really like those bases.
So these guys could totally be like the minions and like super fans of Deadpool.
Yep. So this is part of their sci-fi range. They do have a few things. They've got some robots and some aliens and stuff. They've got a whole fantasy range as well. But I just thought these look really cool. Apparently
Totally does not look
included.
like his This Is Us with the Plague Zombie set.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
And in this indie, we are going to deliberately cover something that Socks isn't here for, because I decided to. And definitely not because the website I was going to look at seems to have gone down this morning. So we are looking at War Cradle Scenics, because the last time Socks wanted to look at some of this stuff, I did say we should probably have a look at their entire range and just go through and actually just enjoy the ranges that they've got.
Sure.
And that is what I've done. I am looking at the War Cradle website for this, as opposed to looking at the... because I could go to the Wayland Games and you can see the prices and stuff as well. But this was a little easier because everything's on one page. So some of this stuff we've looked at before, some of the stuff we haven't. Last time we looked at this Augusta box set from memory, because I remember the Demolished Warehouse getting my attention. And I remember looking at the Bayou set as well. The Bayou set is just, I mean, it's still gorgeous. It's just really pretty.
it has such a unique time frame of what it exists in, and it's so perfect for what they did.
Yeah.
The first thing that actually kind of caught my attention is actually the very first category, the accessories,
Oh, okay. Yep.
where again another uh, option in the marketplace of hobby furniture.
Mm-hmm.
But this strikes me more of the, do I need this and this for this game and this scenery board? Oh, I also need another paint rack. Like, if these are priced right, like this is a very like impulse buy.
Yeah.
If you're can expand and whatnot in your paint area.
I'll tell you one thing that from that range that grabbed my eye. I don't
What's
quite
that?
know how they've done this, but somehow they've done a paint gripper for multiple base sizes. Or at least the multiple round-lipped bases, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there must be a rubber band that's used here, because that very clearly slides in and out. I mean, unless it's just supposed to sit there and you hold it with your finger.
Possibly.
I don't know how long this would hold up for. It's a really cool idea, though. That's really clever. Like, it looks really simple, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. Because this goes over the top of the base, therefore holding the base on. And then there's just a mechanic thing that sits over that so it can't go anywhere. I mean, if you started shaking it like this, obviously it's going to break because MDF only has so much strength. But otherwise, that's really impressive. I mean, paint grippers with MDF is nothing unusual, but I've never seen somebody try to... Because it's trying to mimic the spring-loaded one that Games Workshop have, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I'm certainly
for
not
sure.
saying that it's as good as the Games Workshop one. Like, it can't be. It's MDF. And yeah, obviously, yeah, more people being able to get new racks and stuff is obviously always a good thing. The paint brush rack is interesting.
Not really, because it's got holes along the back that you stick the brushes in.
Yeah, no, there's paint. There's ones that go vertically as well. I don't know if I like this one or not. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it. I just don't know if I like it.
It's also worth noting too. It looks like there's a. It uses little tab slide togethers to hold everything together with this setup. So
yeah,
nothing fancy like magnets or anything like that, man.
Which is fine. All right. So we've looked at the Augusta before. We've looked at the Black Lake before. I think we've even looked at the Buckhorn Ranch, but I am going to open the Buckhorn Ranch set just for a minute. Just because. Sorry, but this is a really nice looking box set. The farmhouse alone is already gorgeous. I love that there's stables, like there's a full-on silo and everything. This feels like a ranch from the US, right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you wouldn't have as many cogs on the side of the house, which just appear to be there because then it's theirs, I suppose. There's no real reason for it. So we need to have cogs because this belongs in the Dystopian Wars universe. There needs to be cogs on it.
So, one I'd like to talk about if we could back out of the Buckhorn Ranch set.
Yeah.
And go down to the Dunsmith.
Dunsmith. Scrolling past. Yep. Do you want to look at the full-on dock or just a certain piece of it?
Let's look at the manor. Because, so Dunsmith, as you would pronounce it, is part of the Lovecraftian universe.
Oh! I feel like I should have known that. That is a
Oh,
really
there's
nice
no-
looking manor. There's no other pictures, which is disappointing. But
Yeah, I just got disappointed in that too. So let's go back and take a look at, I guess, the dock set.
that makes so much sense now. It kind of like, obviously everything's kind of like that dull greyy blue type color because it's obviously a very depressing looking town.
Well, and not even just town, but era too. That's during the 20s when there was the Great Depression.
Yeah.
So
you're not allowed to paint things so that they make you look happy. Everything must look miserable. It's
yes,
just the law.
yes. Even the vehicles, like right there, those are classic gangster moonshine vehicles right there.
Yeah.
Again, this is that side. Believe it or not, this era right here is also like right the same era as like you would have the Wild West. Like
Yep.
these exist at it even so blows my mind, like, just different sides of the country. One was like this and one was like this. This is probably one of the few times I've seen a representation of the Cthulhu-esque town.
Yeah.
Not so much like, here's like the investigate. Like I'm going off the board game, obviously, but you don't have buildings. You just have the cards to build the map, and it's 2D. There's nothing really fancy about it.
Yeah.
Putting these into the game would be nigh impossible, but it's so good of a look that it's like, it's not done enough, or it's seldom done.
Yeah. If you back out, there's also the Tillinghast expansion pack, which expands out the manor. It is just the one picture, but like you got full on front gate, a little water fountain, a bridge going over what I'm assuming is going to be a pond or a river somewhere. There's a little dog kennel with a fancier looking car. If you're playing D&D, then you've got like a little pagoda that you can have come to life when your players attack it. And a little table and chairs set, like an outside one. It's a simple sort of set, but it makes a full on world.
It's so creepy.
Yeah. Eston Village is kind of fun.
Also forgot to mention that it does label the size of the game.
Oh yeah, 35
you use
mil.
it for the.
Yep. The dystopian one we've looked at before.
Funland. Go to Funland.
Yep. Why would you want a Funland? What a stupid question. Why would you not want a Funland? Come on.
I was gonna say I want my
game,
Space Wolves.
Oh yeah.
I want my Space Wolves fighting over like the objective, like the top rail, because that's a overlook.
I just want to say, like, the roller coasters are a really nice looking set. I will say though, I'm expecting that this will break in about 3 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
It looks really fragile. Unless, like, if you're in the sort of situation where... Because if you play all of your games at home and you don't need to travel with your terrain, like, this is not traveling terrain. This stays where it is.
I don't
imagine this... Like, you couldn't have this in a storefront because the customers would... I'm not saying deliberately, but it would be broken very quickly. I love that this appears to be modular too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can very clearly swap and change around how this works. That's a really nice looking set. You got fencing, there's a Ferris wheel, Funland stalls. It's a really cool set. Like, in my head, I'm thinking Joker, so Batman. You could easily flip it around for MCP and just find an excuse for it to be there, because why not?
Because, what's one of the greatest scenes we've had in Marvel Cinematic history? The Punisher fight at the merry-go-round in his flashback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloomberg's
Yeah.
quite fun. Feels very D&D.
So one that was I was kind of looking at, it's a ways down. New Kyoto.
New Kyoto. This sounds very... Yep, very Japanese.
So I'm just looking at this, like, I went to
Sci-fi
the hallway
Japanese.
set. But is it sci-fi? Because it doesn't look sci-fi.
I mean, I'm just looking like the squarish. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be. Hallways.
Look at
Oh,
the
there we go.
small hab, or even the medium hab.
I
Just
suppose it doesn't need to be. Like, it depends on how you painted this up. Like, I could see
yeah,
this.
like
Oh, it actually does say Japanese sci-fi because I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking Infinity personally.
I was thinking Bushido.
It could definitely work.
Like I think this is like a very time neutral Japanese architecture terrain.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why this couldn't be feudal still.
Like I said, it would depend on how you paint it up.
Well, yeah, I mean for sure. I mean, if you use like bright reds and stuff like that, it's gonna look way more futuristic. But if you stick with traditional browns and muted colors, it's gonna look, very, feudal.
George, those habs have working doors.
Shut the front door, really?
Yep, you can quite literally shut
No
the front door.
way. No way.
That is really cool. I'm going to open up the medium one, see if there's anything different in that.
Ooh,
I'm assuming it's just a bigger version.
part of the roof sections come up too.
Nice. The medium one, the door comes open like Star Trek style.
Nice.
And then if I go into the large one, it's a giant sliding door. With the same... Oh, all of this... Oh, that's really cool. Okay, yes, I'm getting more and more sci-fi vibes from this. The thing I like about being able to remove all of the walls and stuff, though, is that means that you could quite literally have multiple of the same building, and you can make it look like they're not the same building, just by taking things off.
Yep. Yep, no, for sure. It's really cool and clever terrain.
So, we are just skimming through this. I'm just kind of like... Red Oak is the classic set from Wild West Exodus. Retribution is quite nice as well. But I'm just scrolling through this. Rio Sonora is quite nice if you wanted to browse at that very quickly, George. I'm not going to open any of it up. I'm just kind of showing it on screen.
That's very Southwest America Spanish.
Yeah. I really, really, really like what they're doing. There's some really, really nice looking stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really cool. But otherwise...
Dream, blue, prime, faint.
What have you been up to, George? Other than holding your son up in the sky and celebrating the fact that he wears a silly hat.
Yeah, no, not much. Bruce is referencing Sam has officially graduated from high school. Now
Well
he
done,
needs to
Sam.
figure out what the hell he needs to do to become a contributing member of society.
Don't follow
no
George's
pressure.
example.
Hey, my example's way better.
I like my explanation. My explanation is that Sam graduating is evidence that being a Marine is not inherently in the
Genetic,
DNA.
yeah. I did get in a game of Death May Die with Casey. We did
second one? Because I know you
I
played one a
started-
few weeks ago.
we did season 1, episode 2. Because that is the universal best one to start people on the game with. No, we did one of the lost episodes from the Unspeakable box.
Okay.
Where you use all those investigators. It's a giant birthday party. And I made the bad choice of pulling out the black goat of the wood as the god to fight.
Interesting.
Oh, we got whooped hard on that. And I've won many a game against the black goat, But the way that scenario plays out with the lack of equipment to pick up, so to speak, the the Dark Young will just start rocking your world. So
Nice. What have I done? I got a game of Moonstone in last week. 3-player game, and I lost quite badly. A lot of fun, though. I did also play a game of 148 Tactic, which is a World War II game that we've spoken of once before. This was the small 2x2 skirmish World War II game that I showed off at one point on an indie. I was playing as the Germans. The Germans defeated the US twice, and then also defeated the Russians. So it just went completely against history. So I kept on saying that I was supposed to. I won every game. It was quite shocking. Brendan, every time he tried to do something, everything went wrong. Like he was rolling snake eyes here and there, and I had this big moment where I'm like, oh, I'm going to throw a grenade. And I needed to have a 5 or a 6 on one dice. And I managed to roll it. I took out 2 people all at once and just completely ruined the game for him. It's just one of those really cool moments in a game that really shouldn't work, and it just happened to work.
And was Bruce cheated and stole the guy's dice and used them against him?
No, they were my dice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun.
He was rolling snake eyes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like your dice.
Well, he was rolling snake eyes in his dice, and I was rolling fairly evenly on my dice. I was using my Australian calibrated dice.
Well, maybe that's been your problem all these years.
Remember how I bought these for my Crute that have never been used? Well, I pulled these out and I used these. It was great. They're very pretty.
You bought special.
You
bought special dice for your special army and then used them for something else completely different. How dare you?
Yep.
You betrayed their use.
Hey, they got used. It's all that matters. I've also been painting up some Moonstone. I'm now going to try and fail to show this on camera because that's how this tends to go for me. But I have the Powder Monkey.
Oh, that looks good.
My Dominion. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out, actually. This has been speed painted, so it's not like crazy complicated painting on this. I mean, I can obviously do some highlights and stuff. Yeah. I want to put some blue... in the pictures on the website, the yellow shorts have like these blue patterns on them as well. I'm very tempted to try and do that. And for some reason, I've just decided that a yellow splash is what I'm doing on my goblins now. I don't know why I've done it, because it hasn't been on any of the rest of them. But clearly I'm going to have to go through and do it with the rest of them now to make it look like it's deliberate and not just a last-minute decision. I do apologize. They don't show up on my webcam very well, but I'm trying. This one definitely won't. No.
That showed up pretty good.
That is my Eric. This is the one where it was missing all of the pieces, and then Tom organised to send out the stuff that was missing. And I've been painting up the troll. I mentioned last episode, I think, that I bought this. It's not going to show, is it? No, there we go. So yeah, I've been painting up a little bit, mainly focusing on Moonstone just because I wanted to get the stuff done. There's another one here that I've started, but like literally the hair and her splash of yellow is on the little, whatever you call the rag on the head thing. I can't think of what it's called. But yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really happy with the Powder Monkey. That turned out way nicer than I expected to. Because monkeys have like that two-tone, pop culture-wise, like where it's the lighter colour on where you see the skin. And so I did like a bony around here, and then like a wood texture, not texture, a wood colour on the rest of it. And it turned out really... Ooh. Love how my pug turned out too. I need to do the eyes, but otherwise I'm really happy. Doug the Pug is great. Unless, of course, you're fighting against him, in which case he's horrible. He has a 3-inch range, and it's really annoying. What else have I been doing? I worked on Entropy City a little bit. No major changes at this point. I was waiting for some spray paint to arrive so I can finish up my cement pieces that I was showing off last episode. I've been changing how the table, so to try and make my table more portable. So I've been kind of making up cement slabs, and I ran out of paint. So that's me, I think. Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed the games that we played. I don't remember what I played the week before. Oh, I played Moonstone again the week before, and I won. So I've had 2 games of Moonstone last week, and then 1 this week. No, I didn't play this week. I had 2 games last week with different people. I lost one and I won the other. Quite significantly. Score-wise, they were very close, but it felt very one-sided towards the end of the game. Score-wise, it ended up being 3-2 in my favour, but I think they had 2 miniatures left on the table, and I'd only lost 1. So it felt like he managed to pull something off at the last minute to kind of get to be a lot closer.
Yeah.
In theory, he could have tied it, but I kind of made that impossible by one of the things I did, and I don't remember what it was. I think I just got close enough that he couldn't pick something up or something. I don't remember. But yeah, that's that.
Talk nerdy to me.
Kind of a bit of a last-minute thought on this on this particular subject. I kind of had this thought last night when because I had this because we had this discussion where I didn't know if you were going to be here or not. I was potentially going to be recording this solo at one point. And I'm glad that you're here because this conversation would have been a lot less interesting without somebody to bounce off. So my subject was essentially games that you used to be really passionate about that you just don't see yourself playing anymore. Or game types. I say game types because the big one for me that I'm going to start off with is collectible card games. Like, there's been a few times where I've got really... I keep on going to get really excited for collectible card games again. Like, I was big into... I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I was big into the Dragon Ball game for a while. And I kind of dropped off, and I tried to buy back in and get excited for it again, and I just can't get excited for it again. I bought into the Vampire the Masquerade game a little while back. I know it's not called Vampire the Masquerade, it's called something else, but...
it's not the Jihad game, is it?
Is the Jihad game the one where like there's a bribery mechanic where like you're trying to you have to
it's based off of all the White Wolves of yeah. You have to at least have 2-player. You had like a blood pool. You had the clans from the Masquerade, like the 9 different clans.
You have those clans.
I don't know if that's the same game. You have
to have a minimum of 3 players, though.
Oh, no, I don't think that's it.
Okay.
Also, who the hell designs a game where you need a minimum of 3 players?
You can't play with... Well, I think you technically can play with 2 players, but the game doesn't really work with 2 players. Because you can't, there's this mechanic where you're meant to be kind of bribing and stuff with the actual players to get the things across that you want to do, and anyway, I tried getting into that and it didn't really work for me. The Disney one come out and I don't know anybody that plays the Disney one. Like, it appears to be very successful. I've never seen somebody talking about it. I've never seen somebody play it outside of a convention where they're trying it for free. Like, the game mechanics wise, and Magic is obviously the big one. I enjoy Magic as a game. I refuse to spend money on it these days because it's just, in my opinion, a very toxic game. It's very fun, but the business model behind the game is one of the worst
Okay,
business models
yeah.
for a customer point of view out there.
Well, so I will devil's advocate that slightly. That business model also keeps it a very new, fresh game always.
Yes, but that is also part of
So-
what I don't like about it.
Right. Like I full on support what you say. I still have my handful of decks, and and these were like very top tier stuff. I used to be very heavily into. I used to be ranked. I that was also when I had no other responsibilities other than keeping myself alive.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I still have some very, like I think one deck, even though like it's been a lot, it's all phased out. It's still a couple thousand to build just because of some of the stuff I've got in there. Is just
I mean, there are versions of the
that
game
fancy.
where you can still play that competitively, probably.
Yeah. The one thing I will also give, here of late is, it's become a huge thing, the commander decks, and they've do the 4 deck specific, Warhammer ones or Lord of the Rings ones, or, it's like, you can just get a 4-player setup for it. You don't have to worry about buying everything every 3 months or whatever. And you have a game you can still do with your friends.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna openly address the question as you asked it from my point of view. Absolutely, there's games I was once passionate about that I don't want to play anymore, but that's all there is to play because my community is super small. And that's
it is
where
very specific for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where here of late, like, and not to say I'm becoming a shut-in, but that's the interest in the solo ability board games have come of. I can play it when I want to play it. I don't have to
Translation
go
for
anywhere.
the audience. I'm not saying I'm a shut-in, but I'm definitely a shut-in.
Right? No, for sure. But there's that, the aspect of like, I could still sit down and play a game I enjoy, and it still ticks all the little boxes of I'm having fun, I'm excited, it does all that stuff for me, and it's hard for lots of other things to do that because what I want to do is not necessarily what other people want to do.
Yeah. I mean, a big one for me is, I kind of touched on this there, like the game of 40k. Like, even when I was buying my Kroot, like, I kind of acknowledged that 40k is not huge for me. I was only kind of really interested in the Combat Patrol game, which a lot of people don't tend to like anyway, because it's too simple. But, like, the fact that it was kind of, like, it was the casual version of the game was what I kind of wanted. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's Conquest, where it's like you start with 500 points and you build up. That was another one that I was like, you know what, I really like the idea of that. I don't see myself playing enough games of 40k to really get into it, though.
Yeah.
Like, 40k for me is a game that the lore is magnificent. It's absolutely phenomenal. But because Games Workshop, their strength isn't in rules writing.
Absolutely not.
I know that people don't like it when you acknowledge this. Sure, come after me if you like, but the strength of Games Workshop has never been the way they write rules. Like, they quite frequently have to fix things after they've been released. I dropped out of 40k at 7th when the game arguably was almost dead.
Yeah. I will say this too. As the original intent of Games Workshop, the large 4x6, you and your buddy in a 12-pack, in an afternoon, like, that's what the game was originally designed as. And as that, it is a great game. The problem is we don't have afternoons to set aside for this. We have like 2-3 hours, and this is where I think your argument of Games Workshop is terrible at rules where a lot of these tournament organizers are. Is they're like, all right, the table size is now 4x4.
Yep.
Let's get rid of that extra 2 feet.
Actually,
We're
it's
gonna
not even
limit to
4x4. It's a really weird table size.
Yeah, I know. It's like just sub 4 feet. Yeah, I know. It's just, but 4x4 is easier to say and remember.
Yeah,
but it's just like
56 spot. I think it's just under 4x6.
Yeah. But so they came up with that. Then they came up with these other rules, and lo and behold, guess what? We're cranking out games of Sigmar and 40K in under 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Which don't get me wrong. Would I love to sit down with you and spend 3 hours doing a massive Space Wolves versus Fruit game? Hell yeah. But no one has time for that. And so, that's again another one of those, you're like, I don't want to play this because I don't want to, dedicate that time. Like, what's Sox's favorite board game? Twilight Imperium. How many times has he played that? Like, how many times has he actually played that now in the last 5 years? I guarantee you it's going to be, 1 or less.
The Twilight Imperium is a game where you have to have the right people for it. Is part of the issue.
Yeah, for sure. So, even still too, like, your taste can change from month to month as easily too. Like, I knew one guy, he was just absolutely against doing Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely against doing it. 40K all the way. And then we were doing a 2v2, and he jumped in to, like, play a little bit because the guy had to go take care of something. And 2 weeks later, he had a full-on 4,000 point army he was putting together for Sigmar.
Actually, this is a good point. Like I said earlier, Games Workshop aren't really good at writing rules, and I stand by that comment. Despite the changes that they've tried to make, Age of Sigmar is significantly a better game than 40K is. And I think it's because it's been written more recently.
I'm going to disagree. I think it's because there's more aspects to the game. In 40K, essentially everything shoots, right? So essentially, you'll just sit there and shoot and shoot and shoot, and very occasionally, like, a good Space Wolves list or World Eaters Corn list, like where they get into close combat. You have some of those, but everything shoots.
The problem with 40K, like, because they often try to do armies where the way the army works is different. But the problem is that because of the way the game works, you never make it to close combat. Because it's just like, that's not how the game works. You die before you get... That's why my Blood Angels never did anything. Because they would always die before... I never got to do anything. I was always dead before I got there.
And that's where Sigmar is superior, is because if you look at 40K... 5/6 of your army is shooting.
Yeah.
If you look at, Sigmar, 1/4 of your army can shoot. So that gets more into, you actually get to play the game because, at the beginning you get to do some shooting.
And it limits the overpoweredness.
It's okay. But then you start getting into the actual, like, combat of the game. And this is where Fantasy and Sigmar have always been better than 40K is, that's where it's fun, in my opinion. Like, everyone can get, like, what is it, a basilisk or whatever, and shoot, from one side of the board to the other. Like, everything's got something like that in 40K. Something above 12-inch range for shooting in Sigmar. Holy crap, really? 12 inches? So that usually means you can't even engage first turn sometimes.
Yeah, it's I kind of said this off the air as well, but I kind of feel like... I've said a few times where, like, there's so much better stuff on the indies as far as games is concerned.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily agree, but I understand the argument of, yes, but Games Workshop makes the better miniatures, and I never want to touch anything that's not Games Workshop. I don't agree with that statement, but I understand where it comes from. Like, the quality of their miniatures is good. I'm not saying it isn't. Some of them probably get more praise than they deserved, but we were just looking at some of them that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, none of, like, in those two stories, like, the knight doesn't do anything for me personally, but it's an amazingly quality miniature. I would like the build experience on miniatures in Games Workshop now is something I don't enjoy as much because they're like you can kind of build most things one way, which I find frustrating.
Boring, yeah. The only reason why, and I don't want to say like we're bullying Games Workshop. It just is Games Workshop is everywhere, and in order to be everywhere, you have to do things that they make it easy because you build the kit this one way. So it's like, it's universal instructions. There's no deviation. There's no difference. It's universal and it's easy to find.
Yeah. Which is definitely a
take
strong
Moonstone. Bruce has played 3 games of Moonstone in less than a month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Moonstone within 50 miles of me. Like, I think this is the, if I played it, would I love it? Absolutely. And then who would I play with? It's
you would play with Sam or Casey.
No, I don't think I get her to nerd out that much. But it's it has to do a lot of where you're at and where the people are at. And I love living where I live. I hate people. There's no people around me. It's great. But the people I want to be around don't live here because, there's
because you live
not
on the moon.
enough opportunities. No, I live in a void.
A large square void.
Right, yeah. It's rectangular, actually.
Yeah. The thing, like, there's a lot of games out there that is phenomenal. In saying that, there's nothing that says that you can't use your Games Workshop miniatures in other games. I probably wouldn't use Space Marines in Bushido, or at least I wouldn't do that long term. If you're playing with friends, I mean, who really cares?
Yeah.
So long as the base sizes are right, then who really cares? But, I mean, one-page rules literally design games to use Games Workshop miniatures. I mean, they have their own range of minis now, but they quite literally designed replacements for those games, largely because people were the amount of games. I think there's only one thing that Games Workshop fans love more than Games Workshop, and that is moaning about Games Workshop.
No, for sure.
And
just ask the guy that melted his Dark Elf army back in the day when they said fantasy was dead.
Yeah,
such a Dark Elf thing to do too. Like
I can't help but there's part of me that's always going to believe that the reaction that person got was exactly the reaction that he wanted, which is people having a go at him and about how stupid the decision was, because it was definitely a giant trolling thing to do.
Oh fuck yeah, it was. But I think these companies they're getting the right idea of 6 to 12 miniatures,
It's much easier to get people into a game. Like Halo is a game in a box.
Yeah. Well, it's 6 to 12 miniatures, right? 2 feet by 2 feet to 4 feet by 4 feet. That's way easier to come up with than a 6 by 4.
Yeah. Also, if you're playing a skirmish game, if you're playing mass battle, I'm going to take this from the other side. If you're going to play a mass battle, if you're building a Space Marine army, the worst part of playing a Space Marine army is that everything is the same. It gets really boring really quickly. It's an important part of the hobby. But painting the same Space Marine 3,000 times, yes, I'm exaggerating, gets really dull really quickly. Whereas in a skirmish game, everything you paint, generally speaking, tends to be a character of its own. It's much more interesting, it's much more personal. It's one of the things I loved about Malifaux when I first got into it, is that everything I painted felt like it deserved my attention. You don't have that miniature that's like, well, this is number 4. I just need to get it done. I'm not saying that you have to give everything passion. Like, not everybody feels that way about painting to begin with, but at least there's a reason to care. Like, if you have 12 miniatures, it's a lot easier to get them finished than it is for 300.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Well, and like I said, back in the day, like, did you ever play a 4x6 game in your house? No, because
Not in my
tables
house,
aren't
I
that
didn't,
big.
no.
Yeah, so you had to go somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in going to your brick and mortar and supporting them. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Especially at the moment, they need it more than ever.
Yeah, but in the realm of 2x2s and 3x3s, that's easy to play on a kitchen table.
Yep.
And so that's easy enough to have like you and a couple buddies over for an afternoon, and you have your own little mini tournament. You don't have to deal with the other group.
Mm-hmm.
Because humans are humans. There's always going to be something about people that we hate this person because they exist.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
And
that is
so-
just it is just something that happens. Yeah.
And so for games to evolve from, and like I said, if you're stuck in a community where you're stuck on the 4x6, playing Ultramarines against Blood Angels or Salamanders, or like not even everyone's a Space Marine chapter, because that's what it is. No Xenos, whatever. But I think for even Games Workshop to acknowledge it and start breaking off and breaking down to smaller games, realizing like this is more of what people want.
I mean, Kill Team is one of the best games they have out there right now. It's saying that I haven't played the newest version of it.
Yeah.
And it's on a much smaller, like it's
A
on
2x2.
a much smaller table. No, it's even less than that.
Oh, really? 18x18?
It's like 20 something by 18, I think. It's a rectangle essentially.
Okay.
Warcry, I don't remember what size the board of Warcry is, but that's not very large either.
Yeah.
Warcry
So, I mean,
seems to be dead, I think, which is a shame because it was, again, one of their better games.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so many rabbit holes you could go down with this question. Like,
Yeah.
is it environmental? Is it you? Is it, society? Like, what is dictating what you're doing with a game right now?
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be the side of, like, if you're into 40k or Age of Sigmar, then it is one of those games where you can't, like, unless you're playing exclusively casually with friends, if you're trying to play competitively, then it can be the only game that you play, because there is no room to play other things if you're playing competitively. But if you're playing casually, I'm always going to have a bias with this, because I am always going to encourage people to try more indie stuff, because I genuinely think there's more interesting stuff out there. Doesn't mean you have to give up Games Workshop.
Yeah, for sure. So
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
To these last episode, but I'll cover off on them again very quickly. The Australian Model Expo is from the 7th until the 9th of June at the Sandown Racecourse. Gen Con's coming up from the 31st of July until the 3rd of August at the Indianapolis Convention Centre in Indiana. And PAX Australia is happening from the 10th of October till the 12th of October at MCEC. Thank you very much to Valhalla Hobby. Valhalla Hobby have been sponsoring us for quite some time. They're sponsoring this episode as well. Valhalla Hobby are based in Verona, Wisconsin. They're not just a good store with good prices. They don't just have your regular Warhammers and Magics and your popular stuff. They have a huge range of the indie scene as well. Not necessarily everything that we've spoken about in today's episode, but they will have a lot of it, or access to a lot of it. If you are interested in playing something slightly out of the ordinary, or there's a game that is in the indies that you haven't found elsewhere, there is a huge range at valhallahobby.com. Very worthwhile checking out the website. If you use the code TABLED at checkout, you'll get 5% off your first order over $100. We get no kickback from this. It just simply shows them that that's where your purchase came from, and it shows them that you appreciate them supporting us. Thank you again to Valhalla Hobby for sponsoring us. That's valhallahobby.com. Where can people find us, George?
They can find us on the internet. We're everywhere, actually, it seems like. Of course, at the beginning of the episode, we mentioned if you come to Patreon, $2 a month, you get live and early access to the recordings, and that's at patreon.com/gettingtabled. Our website, gettingtabled.com, will post links to all the, audio, video, and the Patreon links. Of course, we're most active on facebook.com/gettingtabled. You can see the video version, youtube.com/gettingtabled. Email, if you got something for us to talk about, questions, tournaments, a game talk, or if you've got an indie or something that you think we should know about, definitely email it to us there at gettingtabled@gmail.com. X/Twitter, Instagram, Blusky, Threads, all are at Getting Tabled. We have a Reddit group, r/Getting Tabled. Bruce has his toy reel that he's still doing, which is toy reel, youtube.com/toy reel. Watch him play with toys.
We were talking about modeling kits this week.
Ooh.
I was showing off the Gundam that I bought. Well, no, an Evangelion Gundam kit.
Nice. And then finally, the last plug for Bruce, because he needs all the plugs he can get, including hair, entropycdgame.com.
Yep. Coming along. I made a few tweaks to the wording when I found typing errors today or yesterday. Thank you very much, George, for
Thanks,
not leaving
Bruce.
me by myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.